Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about the inspiration for this piece and how it was realized, and Harley Knife's role in that, and also just what's kind of special about this particular iteration of it here at the Southampton Center. So I'm going to start by saying that I am really bad at being able to think about art installations from, say, my living room. And which is why in 2009, when I was just starting my art career in New York, I found myself in Dumbo, actually just a few blocks away from Knife's offices, looking at this Macmillan Gallery, which Susanna just mentioned, trying to figure out what kind of exhibition I would do there. Nobody had asked me to do any exhibition there, but I kind of fell in love with that space and figured that I would just, out of the blue, propose something for them to do, since they had obviously probably nothing on their schedules. So I'm sitting there looking at this space, which was a very kind of foolish thing for me to do, as I had just had one group show before that lasted a full 2 days in Gowanus, where the most prominent thing on the block was a tire factory. But anyway, I decided that I was going to come up with some idea for that. And when I was thinking about what I was going to propose, there are these two ideas that were running through my head, which kind of always run through my head. And the first was about climate change, and nothing terribly specific about climate change, just that I was kind of interested in what the artist's role in this issue would be, should be, could be. Because, as just active participants in the world today, it's kind of hard not to have some interaction with this issue, whether it's something that you read or you hear about or you see on TV, or it's in a movie, or it's a documentary that you saw that everybody's talking about. It's a thing you heard about on the radio. There was a discussion that you had. There was a debate that you witnessed. It's just in the air. But I thought that there was one critical component of this issue that seemed to be missing for me, which was the experiential component, which is to say, what does climate change feel like? How would it really, what's the visceral way to experience this issue rather than just all these heady things that seem to be in the air? What would it actually look like? How could you see it? What could you point to that's climate change? These are, these very kind of difficult issues, I think, even though they're important. It's just, that seemed to me to be the role, a job for an artist. This is what an artist can do with this issue. This is the contribution that one can make. This is the work that, this is the kind of stuff that I signed up for. This is what I want to do. So that was one thought swirling around in my head. And the other was just this general thought of impermanence. And to give you an example of that, I live in Brooklyn. I live in Red Hook, and I ride my bike to Manhattan every day for work. And I kind of ride along the waterfront, and I see Manhattan as, this beautiful skyline. And as beautiful as it is, I can't help thinking, maybe it's just me, but I can't help thinking that, that's not going to be there one day. One day Manhattan will just, it's not going to be there. And, just as surely as you're standing here, sitting here now on a wooden floor, you stretch out the time scale long enough, and on a geologic time frame, there will be water here, and there will be sand here, and there will be fire here, and there will be eventually nothing here. And I'm not spoiling anybody's party, but that's just it's a fact. So don't kill the messenger. But anyway, these are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about, and so I came up with this idea that looks very much like this for Macmillan. And I thought, well, great, I got an idea, cool. All right, how do I get this done? How do I actually realize this idea? And I submitted, I actually printed up a little booklet for Macmillan, and I mailed it to them, and or sent them an email about it. I'm still waiting on a response to that. But in the meantime, I decided, I gotta explore other avenues. So I did the only other thing I needed to do, which was to hit up NYFA.org and look at all the other opportunities that exist for artists in New York, of which there are ample. and started just kind of going down the list and sending it out like you would apply for a job. And I sent it out to 15 other places, things that seemed applicable over the course of about a year and a half. And I got rejected from all of them, except for 2. One of them was the NIFA fiscal sponsorship program, which enabled me to get funds to actually bring this piece to other places. So it's been exhibited in Brooklyn, and then to Atlanta, and then to Toronto, and then now here. So it's given this piece some legs. And then the other thing that I eventually managed to get into was the Dumbo Arts Festival, which is in Brooklyn, for which Zana Mass, who is the artistic director for that festival, and she is the direct reason why I'm here. She brought me into this as co-curator of this Southampton program. So I was able to get into the Dumbo Arts Festival, and sometime in between that really happy period of my life when I was getting these 15 rejections, I also was fortunate enough among them to get to receive a NIFA fellowship, which I'm sure added a good deal of heft to my Dumbo application. So that's kind of a short story of how this piece actually went from idea to realization, and it's really no stretch of the imagination to say that I don't think I would have been able to do it without NIFA in all its different capacities. And then, just to talk a little bit about the iteration of it here. This is actually the first time I'm doing it in an interior space like this. I normally do it projected onto windows of buildings in urban environments that you see from the street. But I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's kind of, I feel like, this atmosphere, or this theater creates an atmosphere of its own. And then it's just an act of serendipity that there's a piano here that I'm going actually to play, which may be a grave mistake, but I'm gonna give it a try. It's kind of from the same mind as this, so it can't be that bad. And I think that's pretty much what I have to say about this piece. And if anybody has any questions, then you can feel free to interrupt me later as I'm playing, or do you really want to ask something now? Yeah?
What is the process? How did you do this? What is the process?
Okay. The question was, how did I do this? So, like I said before, I live in Red Hook, which is on the water in Brooklyn. And I just got 2 cameras, waterproof cameras, very low, consumer grade Panasonic or Sanyo cameras. And I built this very elaborate rig to basically have them both mounted on the same level. And then I just went into the water and filmed many times until I got kind of the results that I wanted. And what you see here is actually not is that footage, but is that footage slowed down 90%. And I feel like that's an essential part of this piece, to kind of take the real life footage, so to speak, and you have to, I think it's important to find some way to escape that, to kind of transcend that, hopefully, because you really don't want this to fall into a pre-existing category in somebody's brain. It's like, oh yeah, I get that, that's water, I've seen them, I see that every day when I step outside. This, is supposed to be something different, that's different enough so that it creates some sort of cognitive dissonance in your brain, so that your brain doesn't process it the same way you process water in general, or an oceanscape or whatever, so that you actually kind of have to slow down and think this is a new category of visual information that I need to kind of deal with. And so then you kind of get into a different state of experiencing a work like this. Yes?
Did you actually go into the water? Or
Oh yeah. No. I went in, yeah. I went in, I had a wetsuit. I had my brother actually was helping me. He was my assistant on this. I actually incorporate my family into as much, I get them to do as much for free for me as possible. My brother was assisting me on this, and the curtain that you'll notice is moving via a robot I built with my father about 2 days before this opening here. So it's kind of a family affair.
How long did it take you to film it? I mean, how long period of time?
I was filming it pretty consistently over the course of 2 months. You know, there was a lot of trial and error about how to do it, what time of day to do it, what kind of methods to use, when would be a good time, and that kind of stuff.
And when did you
This I did in 2009. Yes.
Can you tell a little bit about the interactive experience that you've seen
Yeah.
in this piece, and also I told you you've had film score composers raving about your sound
Right.
design. So maybe you could tell the group.
Yeah. Right. What was the first thing?
Interactivity.
Yes. So with regards to the interactivity, it's, you know, strictly speaking, it's not an interactive piece, right? It doesn't react to your actions. It's not interactive in that way, but it is immersive in the sense that, you know, you're in it right now, and you can even be further in it if the closer you stand to the projections, because your silhouette becomes part of the piece, right? And so you can almost literally see yourself in the piece that way. And that's very simple interaction has given people, I think, a lot, it's like a touch point for them to get into this piece and to kind of experience it in different ways. And so, you know, people do I mean, I have on my website all kinds of photos. I mean, there are people who take their wedding photos outside of this piece, and there are people who kind of just meditate almost in front of it. So it's very, very interesting for me to see the different kinds of reactions that I actually never anticipated that people have just by, you know, almost literally putting themselves in it, or, you know, I could get my head in it like this a little bit. You know, and just it places you in the water, and it's been very interesting to see how people react to that. And then with regards to the sound design, the sound is just the sound of what happens when you film at this eye level, you know, with the water kind of going up and going down, above and below the camera. And it's been, you know, it's been worked on a little bit, it's been sweet. But it's a very kind of simple soundscape. I'm going to play along with it in a minute. So that's all the questions. Don't hesitate to interrupt me as I'm playing if you want to chat, or if you have any questions, or if you want to invite me to reach out for the weekend. Don't be shy about that. Then that's all I have to say. So I'm just going to turn this over to Executive Director of NIFA, Mr. Michael Royce.